Gabe Cuzzillo is working on a very interesting game. You can see it on this furry arcade machine behind me. It's called Ape Out. Gabe, what's the concept here? Are we playing a gorilla escaping from somewhere?
Yeah, you're playing a gorilla escaping captivity. It's kind of inspired by a lot of jazz posters, and you can hear behind me a lot of cymbal crashes when you're killing guards and stuff like that.
It's inspired by jazz, because there's an improvisational kind of element to the gameplay?
Yeah, it's kind of about that kind of animalistic improvisational feeling. The levels are randomly generated every time.
Okay.
So you don't know what's around every corner. It's kind of tuned to be all about like always being decisive. Like action now is always better than trying to think about what you're going to do.
Yeah.
It's all about like that kind of innate feeling of getting the fuck out, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Harambe had nothing to do with this thing? I'm sure everybody's asking you that.
Yes, predates Harambe by a couple years.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So you've been working on this, because it's mostly you putting it all together, for how long now?
3.5 years, a little less than 3.5 years, yeah.
Wow. And so, seriously, when you started to conceive of this concept, you said, how do I manifest the idea of jazz into a video game?
Well, it started out as just kind of like a feel experiment. Like I was trying to make something that felt really physical in a top-down game, which I feel like is not something that I've really played before.
Right.
And from there, I was like, started experimenting with like grabbing guys and throwing guys into walls. And then it was like, oh, that's probably not a thing a human would do.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's a gorilla thing.
That's cool.
And then there's this song called You've Got to Have Freedom by Pharoah Sanders, which is this like jazz anthem of freedom man. And that kind of inspired a lot of the aesthetic. So it all kind of evolved into this.
It sounds like what you're trying to build. It sounds like jazz coming out of a game, which is cool. So you got to tell me about the music. Who are you working with?
I'm working with Matt Bach. He's one of the guys at Harmonix. Yeah, he was like the lead on Dance Central and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah, he's doing this crazy dynamic music system that has all these like different layers of drums that are playing based on like the intensity level of what you're doing, and there are all these dynamic cymbals that are playing on top of that based on kills and stuff like that.
Like, are we going to be getting a story as we progress in this? Because obviously the ape isn't going to be speaking English, so how are you conveying narrative?
So it's going to be split into these albums, and each album is like an escape from a different environment. There's like this like very simple stories of like escape. Like this one that I'm showing here is like you're escaping from a military base, and the reason you get out is because the military base is being bombed. Like each level has different set pieces that play with that. So like the second level here, the base gets hit by a bomb and all the lights go out, and then you're like in the dark in these tunnels.
Well, Gabe, this looks really interesting. It's one of the most original ideas I've seen coming out of games that are, imminent. Can't wait till you're done. I won't rush you, but please get it done soon so we can play this thing.
All right, will do. Thank you.